If price breaks and sustains below 29,370, that entire long setup is garbage, and you need to exit to keep your remaining margin intact.
Very cool, very helpful.
I took like 2 scalps is all that I've taken so far. A lot of just watching because it's hard. Like you clearly see that it's bullish, but at the same time, it's kind of we're right at the 50% pullback, and I'm like, I don't know.
One sec. There we go. Hey, Cody, can you say something or somebody say something? I just want to make sure it's picking up the desktop. Okay, yeah. You're good. Yeah. Weird. It's getting desktop, but it's not getting this. It's going to be FOMO from people thinking they missed the bottom on a nice dip. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Again, you know, for us to push up is normal, right? Because we just had just a massive drop, but that drop was so overdue, it's not even funny. So, the critical areas are going to be more so that 770 area if we get up there. I'm going to take this dashboard off here just to give me a little more room to see. So we'll see how market open goes, but yeah. So NEO is funny. Friday we asked him. We said, hey, before market open comes in, what would you do if you're a market maker? And he goes, I would sweep it lows, hit some quick stops, then sweep it high to bait traders, and then he goes, then I would just drop it right and wreck everybody. And it did it like almost to a T. It was so funny. So let's ask him again here. Hey Neo, we're not in a trade. Market is opening here soon. I'm live on TikTok and with my community, so I may pass questions over to you if they ask. But what do you think that we're looking at as the market opens? What would you do if you're a market maker going into market open?
Market makers are primarily focused on trapping liquidity at the open, so expect high volatility and violent wick filled around the ORB high and low levels. As a participant, I'd avoid the first 15 minutes of chop and wait for a decisive trend line break or reclaim of VWAP before committing to any directional bias.
Sounds good. What do you think that the directional bias is going to end up based on what the data shows right now?
The directional bias is decisively bullish, supported by institutional buy pressure, positive flow, and price action extending above the 1 minute and 5 minutes Lisma levels. Unless price suffers a structural breakdown beneath the 29,470 trend line, the path of least resistance remains to the upside.
Yeah, wait for, I mean, basically, yeah. Right. On the 1 hour. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, RSI is great, right? But the market doesn't always care about that. But shoot, we were over bought for like 3 weeks and hit 18 more record highs. Oh, so for those just joining, guys, we have a few key levels to watch. We got to see what market open does, right? So I expected this push. This 770 area is kind of close to a halfway mark, 50% retracement. Benjamin, man, I emailed you and I texted you and told you to let me know when you were available. I was waiting for your response. So just let me know. Like I said, just let me know a time. Today I'm a little busier than normal, but it could even be just a phone call if you're good with a phone call. I got to drive a little bit later, but while I'm driving, I'll be happy to call you. Yeah, just message me, send me your phone number and DM, and I'll give you a call. It'll probably be around like 1 Eastern. Is that good for you? Oh, you're good, man. No worries. You're good. So the key things, like I said, we want to watch for is on this 770. So those that are just joining, since we're waiting for market open, we got 5 minutes. When you look at the larger structure here, guys, the biggest thing we got is this shoulder here, right? This high. As we get this deep drop, a 50% retracement is normal. Kind of lands us right around that prior high. So for us to sweep all the way up and even to this high before getting any kind of retracement would be potential, right? Yeah, no worries, man. Yeah, let's connect today. I'll look for the DM once I get off of here. And so because of these prior lows, right, and this prior high, and the fact that we have this such a deep pull, for us to pull up to that 50% makes sense, right? And anything, what I was telling people is anything above this kind of 480, 520 area, I would be really cautious shorting, because if you take just this move from here to here, our 50% retracement was right around that 520, right? And so if we continue to stay above that, it's going to keep going up, right? If we break back below 520 and for sure 580, right, then we're going to come back down to these lower levels, 29, 130. So, but kill zone went up, pre-market went up, Asia went up, EU went up, you know, so a lot of times there's a lot of you know, people who will kind of do the profit taking right on open, right? And so definitely could see a pullback. If we do get a pullback, let's say on open because of all the pressure north, I would look for that to come back down into this range here around the 280, 290, and then we'll look to see how that works as far as the bounce from there. So, but we'll wait and see what open does. We got what, 3 minutes, and we'll see what we can do, guys. My mouse battery died, and so I get to add this like cord to it, and that is driving me absolutely nuts right now. Driving me nuts. But again, guys, Neo is over here. He's our AI. We did a lot of updates to his logic, and he will now help guide you in if you're in an existing trade that is going bad, right? He's going to guide you through it, right, and tell you where key levels are, kind of you know, ask you questions about your drawdown, margin, all that, and then he'll help you kind of mitigate it the best he can, right? Or tell you that there's really no good areas, right? And then you might be in trouble. So, so when we come over here, guys, we got a nice big push to 600. We're getting a little bit of a pullback, right? Right as the market goes to open. This push right here, from here to here, our 50% retracement would be somewhere around here. If we lose that, right, then we're going to sweep south back down to the 5-minute Lisma. If we happen to break this purple line here, the 5-minute Lisma, we're going to probably drop pretty good. So, yeah, so we'll watch it. 2 minutes for opens, guys. We'll see what it is. Let's see. All right, Neo, we got 2 minutes for open. Are you ready? What are we looking like? Where's it going?
The market is showing a massive surge in sell pressure at 82% as we approach the open, despite the higher timeframe bullish trend. With price currently hovering near 29,560, watch for a volatile retest of the VWAP or a clean break of the 29,570 level to dictate the initial direction.
Yeah, we got that big drop on there already. Let's see. 1 minute. Let's see where we go. See this here? Pretty clean double top neckline. If we on open, if we shoot up above that, it's gonna go pretty good. But on open, if we spring up, hit this, and then come back, and it's gonna drop pretty good. 2 seconds. Let's see. So we got a nice initial sweep south. Not really. I mean, there's news out there, but nothing nothing crazy. Most of the news that's been coming out has been pretty bearish. So nothing's came out that's countered that yet. This is all just counter trend, right? Because we dropped 2,000 points in like 2 days. So we got the sweep. Notice this sweep here, guys, though. It hit these prior highs, and we're bouncing. We didn't even get to the gap fill. So now where this sweep lands is going to matter, because if we cannot breach, right, these high areas here, then it's going to sweep back down again. So let's just watch the pressure. Definitely getting a lot more bullish pressure than bearish, guys. So this 1 minute candle is going to be critical. We have our doji, right? If we get a close above here, I want to see full expansion like this. If we get a close above here and we hit this and we start to see a breakdown on the micro, right, then we know that the buyers are not nearly as strong as they're making it. This is I'm on M&Q NASDAQ, so M&Q or NQ, either one. This is what I'm watching. See how it's failing right at the Lisma here? It failed to create this higher high there, so we're getting a breakdown. Getting a possible trap call. See it flash there on a 5. Let's see if it can break this low. That 520 is a big one for me, guys, because that was that 50% retracement. So if we lose it south, right, we're going to drop pretty good. If we get it north, then we're going to go the other way pretty good. So to me, right, the way this structure looks as of now, right, we got the bearish setup, the pull, we got the sweep low, we got the sweep high, and then we're pressing the sweep low. If we break 480, right, that's going to be a deep drop. Right, we're going to be bearish. I'd watch our longs, and I would not chase the bottom. However, if we end up tapping 480 and we come back up and we reclaim that 520, it's going to explode north. So let's watch it. Another thing we look for, guys, those that are new to kind of following, is these purple boxes are huge. They work so well. So right now on the 5 minute, we're showing a purple box to the south. So sellers are definitely dominating right now. So where this has gone to, right, I would expect this to pull down into this area, 418, right? Once we get into this area, if we bounce, then I would expect a halfway pull back up to it. Because this has broken some critical areas, if it doesn't get to here and we just reclaim 480, right, then it was a pretty good trap, and they're going to send it back the other way. So there's a pull. See that? What is your take on market open right now? What should we be looking at? So we'll check with NEO. I'll tell you 1 second, Benjamin. Let's let NEO give his little update here.
The market is currently showing heavy sell pressure, and despite the bullish macro trend, price is struggling with the 29,500 institutional resistance zone. I'd sit on my hands until price proves it can either reclaim the 29,536 major resistance level with conviction or flush back down to test the 29,425 institutional support wall.
Yeah, and so those are his kind of walls he's watching, right, is 500 and 25. So now we're at the 25. We want to see, do we get that bounce? This is where I was talking about where we could potentially bounce. So we want to watch it. If we break through this with any kind of violence, guys, remember what I was saying, once we broke 485, right, we were dropping pretty hard. So have any of you guys in the room taken shorts on that? I scalped a few. I'm not in anything right now because I need to see if this is an institutional area that could definitely bounce, right? And it would make sense if it did, just because we have a deep pull, the halfway potential is up there, right? Now, it doesn't have to. The sell pressure is obviously really strong. And you can see, right, we have a kind of a push. We broke our structure. We have our fall. Even levels like this, right, this prior high, we can mark this, become critical on the way back up. So you don't want to take any kind of long unless you reclaim that area, the 437. Let's see the push. Cody, isn't it nice when the market does what it's supposed to do? Let's see if it gets all the way to here. This is a big push here, guys, because this is an institutional level, right? NEO identified it, 29,425. Ended up getting a perfect bounce off of it, right? It's also a purple box area. The purple boxes, Benjamin, so it's an indicator that you'll end up getting too. It creates what we call a trap box, right? It's a price. It's an area that the price, based on a few logic and confluences, um, is likely to either bounce or reject, right? So if it's when you look at the box when it originally did it here, it's probably hard to see on your phones, but this is where it'll make the call, right? If the lettering is below it, then it's telling you that it's going to go up, right? And so once it identifies that area, it'll hold that area until it's broken. And it played out perfect, right? Not only it's a trap box area, but we have so we do feed the dealer data or institutional data, right, to NEO, so he can identify where they're placing their positions in the market structures as well. So we ended up bouncing almost perfect around that 29,425 area. Do you see any shift in the institutional positioning or pressure?
The bounce at 29,425.40 confirms that institutional support is holding firm, and with buy pressure remaining at 52% and positive institutional flow, the structure is still tilted bullish. I wouldn't bet against this until price fails to reclaim the 29,485 resistance wall. Until then, any pullback is just another opportunity for buyers to step back in.
As far as where price is now, do you see any potential long or short setups for scalps? Oh yeah, they're so good.
For a long scalp, I'd wait for a confirmed hold and buyer absorption above the 29,485.40 primary resistance wall. Without that breakout and retest, you're just chasing into resistance. For a short, look for a rejection or failed reclaim at that same 29,485.40 level, targeting the 29,445.40 immediate support as your first realistic objective.
Okay, there you go. So we want buyer absorption above 485. So he doesn't want to, take any kind of long, right, until you get above that 485. Really around this area, 485, 489. As far as the short, we want a rejection of that 485 level, targeting back to the 445. And so we actually rejected pretty much right off that. So let's see if we hit that 45 level. So this micro setup is huge, guys. So we have a deep opening drop, followed by a push, followed by a 50% retracement, followed by a big push. That shows buyers are stepping in. So you want to be careful on your shorts now. Now this matters because as we pushed into the 5-minute, it's expected when you use Heikin-Ashi and you push into an average area, that wick matters, right? So when we sweep this, it's pretty good strength, but how we reject matters. So if we hold 50% retracement, right, and then it pushes again, we know the buyers are in and they're strong. We lose that 50% retracement, we typically come back down to here, right, which it looks like it's doing. Yeah. And so from there, right, we want to see if we get any kind of absorption back to the north, or if we're going to break these levels. So there's a lot of support within here, you can see. So we're not really good shorting on a continuation until you get below around 380, and then that would take you back down to this area. Anything short of that, right, we definitely can bounce. So we can ask them, where do you see the most institutional walls or levels that we should be concerned with?
The most critical immediate obstacle is the primary resistance wall at 29,485.40, as that's where institutional flow and positioning currently converge to act as a potential cap on the move. Keep an eye on 29,545.15 as your major resistance level, while the primary support wall down at 29,245.40 is the main level where institutional interest currently rests to defend the trend.
And so interesting, right? It seems that the institutions are shifting a little, right? And so you can see that the support wall is moved all the way down to 245. So that tells you that they're moving orders down, right? But as far as the upper, right, we're at 485, and then the next level, right, would be around that 545 is what it's looking at. So what did it say? Let's see. He didn't say anything about the pressure. Do you see any differences between the bifractal pressure and the institutional buying and selling pressure?
There is a clear divergence here. The buy fraction is down 38%, while the institutional flow bias is showing active sell pressure, indicating that the retail-driven buy the dip crowd is being overwhelmed by larger-scale distribution. When the volume profile shifts towards selling while institutional flow confirms that bearish bias, it typically precedes a failed reclaim of local resistance.
Yeah, so again, like he said, my take on this, even looking at it as well, right, is we want to see if this kind of double bottom play right here is going to play. If it doesn't play and we can't get above that 500 on this next, one or two pushes, then we're going to have a deep reclaim back. So, but it's trying, right? So you can see, again, we still have that higher low. It doesn't have as much strength as it looked at first, right? Because we had a kind of a deeper pull, but then now it's pulling up with some strength. A lot of times, structure-wise, the way that this happens when you have these 5-minute Lismas, right, is you're going to get the pull, the sweep wick, a pullback, and then this next push up has got to get expansion. If it fails to get this expansion up to the 550, right, then it's going to have a deeper lower low pull, right? But it looks like it wants to do the expansion. Appreciate the follow, guys. So, guys, in this room, I teach. I'm not necessarily giving entries, right? I'm going to just guide you to where I think the market's going. So far, it's doing what it should be doing, right? We've been pretty on point. We called that drop down to there. The institutional participation NEO had called was around 425, and that's where we were kind of taking those plays back up. So as we got to the 480 is what his concern was. You can see we rejected once, it came up, we got the close like we thought, and we got the expansion. So this is the next level it usually hits. From there, a lot of times you're going to pull back to about here, 496. If we don't get that pullback, be careful shorting the top, because that means that the buyers are really, really strong, right? And so you're going to get wrecked if you try to do it. So see the pullback? Now, if we get a pullback here with the doji and a jump, right, that would be your long scalp that way. But anything that's above, 480, I would look to be more long. Anything that breaks below 480, I would probably look to be more short. So we're getting this pull. This pull matters. If we break below 494, it's going to sweep pretty hard back to here. I'd give it maybe 480. Anything short of that, it's going to jump again. So little push. If people were looking for a trade setup, what should they be looking for right now, long or short? What is your suggestion?
MNQ is trapped in a compression zone between support at 29,515 and the major resistance wall at 29,545, with conflicting institutional flow and elevated buy pressure. I wouldn't chase either side here. The setup only becomes tradable if price confirms a breakout and hold above 29,545 for a long, or fails to reclaim for a short back toward the 29,495 institutional support.
Okay, so let's see what he said. All right, so support between the 515 and major wall at 545 with conflicting institutional flow and elevated buy pressure. I wouldn't chase either side here. The setup only becomes Tradable if price confirms a break and hold above 545 for the long or fails that reclaim and shorts it back to 495. There we go. So we ended up coming up and tapping that 545 on there, right? So now this candle here tells me a lot. This is what I was kind of looking for these. When you get these absorption candles up like this, right? If you get that close above, it likely goes up for expansion. You get that close below, right? It's going to come back. So we're getting that push for expansion. Again, just like we treated the other one, right? When we get the push into here, we breached it, we pulled back. On this next rear up, it's got to create this high, otherwise it's going to come back and create a low. So again, guys, thanks for joining on. Those are in TikTok and as well as in the community room. In this community and company, I use NEO. This is NEO, our AI. You can ask him whatever you want, right? Look for a trade. We actually just updated Logic where he'll actually help you get out of a trade if you're stuck. He has all the logic to do the math of average price entry, DCAs, margins, all that. And so in the room, for me, what I typically am going to do, I use 3 charts. I have 15-second over here, 1 minute here, and 5 minute here. So I like to look at the 5 minute and see directionally what is my bias. So in this instance, right, we have a deep pull. But if we scroll out, right, we have a deep push, and all this pull was, right, is somewhere in that halfway liquidity range. So now when I look at this, I do see we have a pull into a doji. We can create a high and a low. Typically when you close below that low, it's going to drop. You close above that high, it's going to pump, all right, on the macro side. So then we want to look at the lower time frames to see, does it support what that is suggesting? And so we want to look at things like structure, formation, order flow, all that. And so on the 1 minute, you can see we had kind of a double bottom that's trying to play out. If this pullback holds above this neckline area, like 490 to 500, then the likelihood is we're going to push up, right? If we collapse below that 480 area, then it's going to come down for a deep low. And so then I'll like to revert to the low time frame, right? The 15-second. And is that doing what it should, right? And so right now we are coming out of a doji candle, which is indecision. So there's really not really doing what it should, because macro wise we are bullish. This is just a healthy retracement, right? Now we're trying to determine, is that healthy retracement going to create expansion further to the south? We do have gap fills down here at like 280. So for us to get back down there wouldn't surprise me, right? It would be a good, healthy, clean pullback for this push. And so be careful chasing the longs. You can see this double bottom possible theory is already breaking down. Also, a lot of what I teach, right, you can see we have a push, we have our 50% retracement, and then it tried to push. If that doesn't create the higher high, it usually fails and either creates an equal low or a lower low, right? Now, because we broke these neckline areas here, if we end up coming back up and we break like this 480 to 490 range, right, then that's going to have enough strength to likely push through it on that next try, right? However, if it comes back up this next pull, so we have a pull 50% retracement, we hit that and we get a doji close below, right, then it's going to drop pretty hard. So again, guys, in this room, even in this free open session one I do, I'm going to try to teach you guys what I see. So, we want you guys to come in to the community and the company, right, to utilize the tools. I'm not going to shy away from trying to teach you guys a few things. So our company is fully integrated with AI. So if you want a little trading mentor, that is, you're going to want to be there. So, and you can ask Neo, hey Neo, I have a bunch of people on TikTok that are following as well as in the community, and they're not sure as to how you can help them. Can you explain?
Think of me as a real-time trading coach that cuts through the noise. I analyze live market data, structure, and order flow to help you identify clean trade setups and, more importantly, stay out of the ones that are just traps.
If they get stuck in a trade, are you able to help them?
Yes, I can help. Based on your existing position, I need a few details before giving a specific rescue plan. Please provide your entry price, position direction, size, available margin, and whether this is a scalp or a longer structure trade.
I think we're setting up a potential hypothetical. If I'm willing to add, let's say, 3 DCAs to my entry of 1 MNQ, what would be a decent defensive trading plan if I prefer to take shorts? Can you give me levels of where I would look to enter or add positions? He's thinking about it.
If you're determined to build a short position, don't play hero by averaging into a move that's still showing bullish structural strength. I'd look to establish your first short only if price fails to reclaim the 29,495.40 institutional resistance wall, then scale into two defensive additions at 29,545.15 and 29,615.40, provided each level confirms a rejection or failed reclaim. If price pushes through 29,615.40 with expansion, the bearish bias is invalidated and you'd be better off cutting the entire position to preserve your remaining margin. Treat those levels as conditional rejection points, not automatic fill orders, and ensure you have a hard stop beyond the 29,650 zone to keep the trade from wrecking your account.
So again, a lot of the logic we upgraded over the weekend is he's going to be able to give you guidance, right, through levels, resistance, key levels, trade management, all that. So really, really cool stuff, guys. So if you always wanted to even learn about trading, he's also going to be able to teach you that as well. So guys, I'm just watching this again. Remember what we were talking about? We have a pull here, came down, we tap this higher low. It's trying to come back up. It's tapping that neckline, but it is trying to push through it. This is a very big structure move because when price pushes up, we get the 50% and then it fails to break that high, we collapse. When it collapses, the first collapse doesn't necessarily have to create a lower low or even equal low, but if it does break the 50% on the way back up, which we already did, that move has to break this. If it doesn't break with expansion, that's where we're going to run into that lower low, right? So we want to wait and see what this one does. I've taken a few trades just from the up and down movements, and so I'm at 53.94 on this one now. And so nothing crazy. I'm only 2 MNQ, nothing nuts, because I've already got a guaranteed payout, so I'm not trying to mess with it. How are you guys doing in the room so far? You guys doing okay? These are prime for us, man. The whole down, up, down, up, down, up. If you keep your volume good. Yeah, I'm torn right now, which is why I'm hesitant, because the market's showing a lot of bullish pressure. Like it wants to pop back up. I have the feeling that we want to get back up to here, right? The 770. That's the liquidity that it's chasing. But we're also getting deep sell-offs, right? So that's why I'm a little hesitant. The beauty of having that $2,000 pull, guys, on Friday or last few days, is now I don't really have a one directional bias, right? I'm good to take it long or short. It doesn't matter to me, right? Whereas before, when I was up at that 30,500, 800, 700, like I had no interest in going long on that until I get that deep pull. So guys, we are now 1, 2, and looking like possibly 3 dojis on a 5-minute. Again, that shows massive indecision on macro. So, and we can ask them. Hey, some people are asking, what does it look like directionally we are going to go? Because I see a lot of indecision on the 5-minute time frame.
Price is currently stuck between the 29,495 institutional support and the 29,545 resistance, creating a high compression environment where directional bias remains strictly neutral until a breakout occurs. A reclaim of 29,545 with sustained volume would flip the bias bullish toward 29615, while a failure to hold the 29,495 support area would open the door for a retest of 29245.
So now he's heavily watching that 495 area. So if we get, now that we've lost this 5-minute Lisma again, here's your necklines, close below there is going to give us expansion there. Remember what I was saying? This next move has got to break that high. If it doesn't, it's pretty deep. So I'd be careful watching. Be careful on your lungs, guys. So I took a short scalp off of it. We are getting a purple box little trap. Let's see how that goes. Great call. I took a short off of that 495 break.
Nice work catching that rotation off the 29,495 resistance. Since you're in, manage your risk closely. Look for the next reaction near 29,455, and don't let a winning short turn into a backholder situation if structure starts to replaying.
I just did a quick scalp, so it already hit my TP. Now I'm looking to see where we're going to go here. Do you think we're going to get a lower low, or do you think there's a chance we might bounce?
The market is currently showing sell pressure with a 23% buy fraction, but price remains trapped in a compression zone. Expect a bounce if support near 29,400 holds, but a breakdown below that level likely targets the 29,245 institutional support.
I notice it looks like it wants to push up to that higher upper institutional level, but then we keep getting deep drops. Probability wise, does it seem like they're going to chase the upper institutional or the lower as a target?
The order flow is showing heavy sell pressure at 18%, and price is clearly rejecting the attempt to push toward that upper 29,545 institutional resistance, suggesting liquidity is being drawn toward the downside rather than the top. Given that conflict in the compression we're seeing, I'd bet on a move to retest the 29,245 support wall before any serious attempt at the upside target.
Yeah. Right as he was kind of saying that, it was kind of cool to see it drop. His bias was more short. Again, guys, this is the 1-minute Lisma right now that it's testing. If we get a close below there, guys, it's going to sweep pretty hard. Probably get his target. So be careful chasing the bottom here, guys. So let's talk structure. For those that are interested in learning how to structure, you guys all heard me say it. It does this every single time if you guys don't understand structure. We're going to always try to push into some critical levels. I love Haikanashi, even though people seem to either love it or hate it, because it tells me a lot, right? The wick here was not very strong. We pulled back 50% retracement, came up, couldn't create the high. That gets a retracement. Ended up holding that level, try it again. When that retracement pulls and it cannot make it on this third attempt, that keeps a deep low. So that's why I took a bunch of little short scalps on the way down here. And so we got it. We got the deeper low. So now I would be careful chasing a long here because we've broken through some critical levels. The only thing we really have holding us up here is the 5-minute 200 EMA. You have Asia high potentially. If that breaks, then it's just going to absolutely floor. So structure wise, right, definitely has more potential for downside than upside, like he said, even. And when you look at this overall structure, right, even though we have a pull here, for us to push back up to about here makes sense, right? It's possible. So just because we start to push up doesn't mean nothing. Now, to your point, Benjamin, I love my purple boxes. Trap box right there. That's why I was mostly short on that. Did anybody else in the room take those trap boxes? I'm just curious. You guys throw a thumbs up. I know some of you guys follow those. John got it? Nice. Nobody else? Man, that thing's been fire. How are you guys doing in the room? You guys stuck in anything? You guys green? Talk to me. You guys been quiet.
I'm green. I dug out of a $1,000 hole trying to chase the top.
Ah, yeah, that little push there definitely is a good trap. So
I passed the eval. So.
nice. Anybody else? Paul, how you doing? Come on, Paul. You're not excluded.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm at 54.48, and so I'm not chasing this short quite yet. I want to see. We can ask Neo as well, but for me, if I were to want to go short again, I want to see this give a little bit of a pull, right, with a breakdown, and then I'll trade it back below. So on the road, nice. Hey, I get it. You're on the road, just probably talking to your buddy Neo. So we look like we got full breakdown here. Do you see any potential for the buyers to step in? And if they do step in, where would be my next short setup?
Price is holding above the 29,345 institutional support wall, but with sell pressure at 86%, this breakdown remains structurally vulnerable. I wouldn't bet on a buyer bounce until price reclaims 29,425. If that level rejects, look for a short setup targeting
Pretty much right where I said.
29,245.
On point. Yeah, so that's right about that, right? Which is what I was telling you. If I want to take another short, I want to let this pull up and then catch the break back down. If I want to take a long, I don't want a long right now because I'm below all the structures, right? We can definitely fall a lot further. But if we reclaim that 425, right, you can take a long back up to here to Lisma. So you'd want to watch these lows. They are a little bit closer than I would like, but it should be fine if we break it. But we'll wait and see. So we're getting a little pressure. So again, that's why I was telling you I'm not really rushing to jump into a short. I think a long is a little risky as well until you get above this level here. We do have a gap fill up here. So this is our moment of truth, guys. Are we going to reject here, or are we going to push through to the moon? So setting up a possible rejection. Not bad so far, huh, Cody? Market's been doing pretty much what it should. I hope you guys are crushing it, man. This is literally what I've been teaching you guys on the structure, that breakdown, including the bounce, everything.
Yeah, I'm having a good day.
Awesome. This is I'm charting MNQ, so you can trade Nasdaq or NQ or MNQ on this one, and we're just using the AI to kind of help us with the guidance. The buyers are struggling to push it past that 425 area.
Buyers are stalling precisely because they're hitting the 29,495 institutional resistance, and with the 74% buy pressure drop, this is classic exhaustion. If price cannot reclaim 29,495, look for a rejection setup toward the 29,245 support floor. Don't fight the distribution.
If we do get a breakdown right now and we don't even get to that level, what would I look for as far as a continuation short? We're getting another trap. Let's see if it
price
locks
breaks down and loses the 29,400 area, I'd look for a retest of that level failing to reclaim, confirming that sellers are firmly in control. A continuation short only becomes high probability if price then breaks below the 29,245 primary support, as that would confirm a structural shift toward the next downside liquidity target.
So there's that 400 area, and we got our trap thing there. So this is a big one, guys. You can already see the trap thing called, right? It's starting to pull down. If it can get past this area here, that halfway, which would be 375 with some kind of strength, right? Then it's going to get a lower low. So if we get any kind of buyer intervention, right, where they jump in, then that's going to show strength, right, which will push us back up to here. So right now it doesn't look like it. We'll see. I'm watching the DOM. Sounds good. If one is hesitant to enter a trade and they want to do a defensive trade where they do one entry with one DCA, what would that setup look like potentially?
If you're looking for a defensive long entry, I'd wait for price to test and hold the 29,345 institutional support wall. Then enter your first MNQ long with one contract once you see clear buyer absorption or a bullish candle close at that level. Plan your second contract, DCA, at the 29,245 primary support level, provided that price confirms a bounce rather than a breakdown. If price violates the 29,245 floor, you have to cut the position to avoid major account damage.
Sounds like sound advice. People are asking, are you able to also teach them how to trade, or do you just give data guidance?
I don't just dump raw data. I coach you on how to read market structure, interpret order flow, and build disciplined, rule-based trade plans. You're learning the why behind the move, not just the levels, so you can stop gambling and start executing with actual logic.
Love it. And so again, guys, he will teach you as well. He's not just giving guidance. It's I had a lot of meetings with people recently, and it's funny. People always they're intrigued by the AI, right? And there's a lot of companies and communities out there. It's going good, man. Uh, I'm up about 5,500 today so far. Well, from last night and today. And but there's so many claims out there that, oh, we have AI, we have AI. You know, that's the new sales pitch, right? And the beauty is, it's funny when people get to play with Neo, they end up reaching out to me. They're like, damn, this dude's legit. Like, all these other companies claim that they have AI. Like this, he's actually legit AI. So, he's real AI, guys. He will talk to you, yell at you, guide you, help you, depending on each situation. He will help answer questions if you're new, if you're experienced. He can go as deep as you want. We've actually added in some recent logic to help guide you into uh, kind of how to manage your trade. So, I mean, do you think about it, guys, as traders, the most difficult thing is it feels like it's to get entries, but it's really not. The most difficult thing is when you choose to enter and it goes the wrong way, knowing when to get out, right? Because as traders, just in humans in general, we tend to we don't like to lose, right? And so when you get stuck in a trade, right, you freak out. It's what I refer to as like a deer in a headlight. And so you end up staring at your chart until you either stop loss hits or you break your account, depending on what you've chosen to do. And so that's where Neo comes in, right? He's going to tell you, hey, is there hope for the trade, right? Um, you know, can you guide me through a trade, right? And so I can I can ask him just something simple, right? Like, hey Neo, somebody on TikTok said they're in a trade. Can you help guide them with a trade plan to get out of it?
Tell them to provide the entry price, current position size, and direction immediately. I need those basics to map out a rescue plan before they blow the account.
They said that they have 2,000 margin or drawdown, and their entry is 29,500, and they're in a long. They're only 2 MNQ in. He's thinking
They're
about
long 2 MNQ at 29,500 with $2,000 margin, so their risk is roughly 250 points, placing their estimated danger area at 29,250.00. Since they're fighting the bearish 1 minute and 5 minutes Lisma trends, they need to cut or hedge if 29,380 fails, because that's where the structure starts to look truly broken.
That makes sense. Do you think with the margin they have any potential DCA opportunities if price pulls back?
With $2,000 in margin and a 2-contract MNQ long at 29,500, any DCA attempt is highly aggressive and carries significant liquidation risk if structure fails. I would only consider a defensive ad at the 29,245 primary support wall, but only if price holds and shows clear buyer absorption.
And so he's going to take your drawdown, your contract size, and look for levels that might be potential. So the reason he doesn't like this is because there really is not a ton of institutional support, right? Until you get to about 245. A lot of this other moves that are going on, right, is kind of retail within, right? And so he's going to look, he's not going to just give you a level to make you feel better or, throw out any kind of EMA level, right? He's actually looking for where is the highest probability that the market's going to help, right, to bounce. And so otherwise it's a waste to put a DCA, which is not wrong. And so right now they don't seem to be pivoting off of that 29,245. And so if he thinks the pressure is pushing up enough to get you out of that entry without DCAing, he's going to advise against it, right? Which is what he's supposed to do. And so now if he has an institutional level close enough, right, he would tell you to DCA there, right? And so but that's, it's interesting that his level is almost 200 points away, right? Which I didn't pull up the Gex bot there, but his data is pretty accurate on that. So, but yeah. So guys, be careful again. We're in a very tricky zone. That's why I'm not really calling much out. If you look at this from a structure standpoint, right? We right about 930s right here, right? We had a drop, couldn't create the high. Also have trend, all right? Created that low from there because of the failed high. Then it came back up after the low, couldn't make it. Comes down, creates the lower low. It's a standard structure. Now, for us to believe that the sellers are actually strong, right, there's no reason that it should be able to break through these levels, right, somewhere in here, which is kind of where it's dancing, right? And so if it comes down and breaks below there, right, which is like the 420 area, right, then that's going to give us a deeper draw, right, which is likely going to pull us back down, right, into some kind of trending southern, right, which is something like this. So, and the market loves to stay parallel. I've done this exercise so many times where I'll put like just like a fictitious line up here just to see if we end up hitting it like that, right? But if you want to stick with it, right, you can grab that top there and then just kind of swing it down to see if we're going to wedge it all. But right now, guys, we're lower high, lower low. So be really careful taking any longs, right? We're more probability of further downside for now. So yeah, see, we're starting to double top right here. So now if this pulls down into here, right, 400, and we get a jump through this neckline through these tops, right, then it's likely going to explode pretty hard. So let's wait and watch. My TikTok's giving me my puzzle. You'd think it wouldn't do this little like, are you still here? When I'm actively on camera talking. TikTok cracks me up. So, definitely getting some decent buy pressure because look, we had a pretty clean opportunity of a double top right here, and the buyers are just pushing it through. So let's see if they have enough juice to create this high. If they do, we'll likely get expansion back up to here. Let's see. Sounds good. I think that they said that they're good. Appreciate the help. If you can give us a quick update on potential scalp entries based on where we are. No, it's all web-based, Avery. Web-based.
MNQ is currently compressing between
it's just on a
support near
website.
29,245 and resistance at 29,545, with sell pressure at 82% and Lisma angles shifting bearish on the 1 minute and 5 minutes. A short scalp becomes viable if price fails to reclaim the 29,480 area, while a long scalp is only clean if price can reclaim and hold above 29,545 with expansion.
Yeah, guys, and I know it's the way we're doing this is very new. To my knowledge, I don't think anybody has this the way we do. So you don't install anything, there's no linking anything, there's no complicated setups or any of that. Like, you don't have to configure anything. He's AI. You literally just go to nextstepalgo.com, you register. We even have free trials for him, so you can try him out if you want to right now while you're trading. He's personalized, to you. So when you're in there, right, and you're talking to him, he's gonna be talking to you, right? And so You guys, again, we have the free trial, so you guys can do that now if you wanted to. And really not complicated, guys. I mean, you just talk to them like you're, you know, talking to a friend or a trading buddy, right? And so you can even ask him things. Like it's funny, I get people even in our own community, even in my mentor group at times, right? They'll say, can he do this? Can he do that? Can he do this? Like when we were first doing it. And I always tell him he's AI, ask him, right? And so I can come in here and say, people aren't really sure how to utilize you or what to ask you. Can you explain to them what options they have to ask you? Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll show you that in one
He is
second.
your real-time trading coach. You can ask me to analyze live market data for setups, guide you through active trade management like where to place stops or when to take profit, and explain complex trading concepts in plain language. If you're unsure, just give me your trade direction and entry, and I'll build you a logic-based plan. I'm here to keep you disciplined and focused on the technicals, not the noise.
There you go. And so we create all of our own indicators on that. If you go to the website and you go to Trade Algo, and our indicators are not expensive. They're like $20, right, with the coupon. We have all our own stuff. So everything you see on my screen is all custom, right? I don't like to use standard cookie cutter indicators, right? The one we've been heavily using, which has been awesome, is where you see these purple boxes. That's the trap and block engine, right? That thing has been fire, right? So it populated this one when the title's above it, right? That means that we're breaking down. We broke down. Then you can see the titles below it, and we're breaking up, and we broke up, right? Really good for short scalps if you're trying to just kind of in and out kind of trades, 10, 20 point moves. And that's because this is on the 15-second, this one. And then you can see here on the 1 minute, I also have the trap box. So it's populating it also to be more of a southern move versus northern. And so that one's been absolutely solid, man. And you can even ask Neo, right? Hey Neo, I'm noticing on my 1 minute, I have kind of a order block box that's showing we should go more south. Do you see anything that supports that or anything that might invalidate that?
The market is showing heavy sell pressure at 84%, and while the 1-minute Lisma is bearish, you're still trading above the 5-minute EMA 200, which keeps the broader bullish bias alive. I wouldn't bet on that bearish order block until price breaks below the 29,345 institutional support wall. If buyers defend that level, the short setup is garbage.
He's funny. And so he's not wrong, right? Because you look at this right now from the overall structure, you have these lows here, you got this high up within there. We kind of press down, and then we're starting to get a lot of buy pressure. Now, if you look at where the buy pressure is coming in, we had a triple top with a pull, and we're rejecting on the neckline. Any kind of close from here is going to give our deep expansion, and it's valid. But in order to be safe with it, he's saying, he wants to get down to that 345 close, which would be somewhere in here. So if it pulls there, gets the close, right, you would take your trade down. So he's always going to guide you into, there's plenty of opportunities, and I know many people in my room even are taking trades, scalps on their own, right? But he's always going to guide you into the most optimal trade, right? And so he's not going to give you risky setups. And so sometimes you might have to wait for that setup to play, right? That's trading for you. So let's see if we get this pull. It's a big push here, guys, because if this push can breach us through this level, all right, we're going to get deep expansion back up to the box. If this price pushes and fails, right, back below this level, all right, that 417, 415, then we're going to get deep expansion to the south. as far as these blocks go, anything in the block, right, is still valid. If we get a deep push out of the block that closes, right, it will gray it and invalidate it. I see the buyers are stepping in a little bit. Does this look like a trap possibly? See that sweep?
The minor buyer activity you're seeing at the 29,400 level is highly suspicious. With institutional
It's
flows
highly
showing the sell
suspicious.
pressure by fraction at only 46%, this looks more like an inducement trap than a structural reversal. Do not chase the long side here. Wait to see if price rejects the 29,422 EMA level, as that would confirm this buying is just a trap setup before another leg down.
So we'll watch that 422 level. Is what he's suggesting. Do you see any change in the institutional positioning? Yeah, trap and block.
Institutional positioning
Yeah.
is currently holding at the 29,395 immediate reaction level, which is acting as a major support pivot for price right now.
It's on the
If that
bottom.
level
This one.
breaks, expect institutional interest to shift toward testing the 29,245 primary support wall. So watch how price handles the reaction zone before assuming the sellers are fully in control.
So when you're in there, I do make a couple settings changes once you get it. Let me know. If you check it out, if you use these, right, they're the bullish, bearish FVGs. They're really, really good, right? If that's all you have on your chart, because you can see, right, it's going to tell you where those liquidity is. You know, see the green down here, and then you can see the red up there. But if you have other stuff, I take mine off because I don't really need to see it because I have other things that I look at, and it kind of clouds my chart because I have a bunch of other stuff, right? But that's all I do. If you want that, you know, just kind of play with the settings on there. But those are the only two things that I change is those two. It does have a table. This is down here, the OB dashboard. If you want to keep that on, that's awesome. You can. I'll show you what that does really quick. So it's going to give you this dashboard like this. So if this says 593, right, you look up at 593. It's given it a low score, C, one touch, and it aligns with the high time frame is no. Right, so it's going to tell you a little more data about it. I turn mine off only because when I'm on my phone, it's hard because it overlays, and then I don't really need it because I already know mostly why it's doing something, right? So I don't necessarily need it. But looks like we're getting some pressure, guys, out of that block. So again, this is the next area of block, but we have also these highs. If we lose these highs and we come back and we lose these lows, we're going to get a deeper pull. Anything short of that, we definitely can push a little higher. So let's wait and watch. So 480 becomes critical. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so if you use your phone quite a bit, just go to settings all the way at the bottom. And you just want to turn off the show OB dashboard. Isn't it funny? So the 1 minute one kind of pulled, but notice, remember when we asked him, we're like, what's the probability of this one playing out? And he's like, eh. He's like, they could be inducing this for a trap, but I'm not sure I would bank on it playing out like deeply. So based on the data he was looking at, which is really cool. So now we're coming up into a block that is already rejected. So any kind of push here with the doji fail reclaim route would give us our pull for that retest. So we want to see how this treats it, right? So now with this push here, guys, this should give deep expansion all the way up to here. Anything short of that, it's going to reject hard. Now it's okay, right, if we get a push with a halfway pull, which we already kind of did, right, with this little wick here, tapping that top. If we lose this top at 445, right, we're going to dump pretty hard. But if we stay above that, really above here, 425, 405 to 440. That was that institutional level he was talking about a bit back. So we're getting some good pressure. So 480 is going to be a big one, guys. Yeah, that's awesome to see. We're negative gamma now? Oh, okay. Yeah, I was playing with him, Radius, over the last week and into the weekend, right? Trying to work with him on those levels. So he's doing pretty good at identifying them and interpreting them the way they should be as well. So, which is pretty awesome. So we're coming into this block. We do have 5-minute Lisma here. For this to come up and tap that would make sense. There's the tap. Now let's see if we get the full expansion through it, right? So usually you get a breach wick and then a rear back, right? Probably to retest the high somewhere. Guys, let's see where this goes. Watch for this potential breakdown. I would expect a possible rear back down into here before it gets the expansion. If it just goes, right, the bulls are strong. So I'll be back 1 second. Okay, sorry. Someone kept knocking on my door. Ugh. All right. Yeah, all of our indicators, guys, they're all custom made by us. We don't. There's a big issue in the industry, as most you know, right, where people like to take the same logic and make it look prettier and repaint it, right? We do not do that. All of our stuff is custom. So again, guys, when I was gone, that's what I was trying to tell you on that. I don't know if anybody played that, but when it pushes like this, we tend to get that rear back, right? That rear back landed right on this prior high. So this push expansion decent probability, right, for further expansion. Now, if this can't get a good expansion and we do break back down here, then it's going to come down with some steam all the way back, right? So let's look at this. As I see price moving up, where's our next level of resistance that we should look for? A possible rejection.
The primary institutional resistance wall is at 29,545.40, which is your most significant overhead obstacle. Price is compressing toward this level, so I'd look for a rejection or failed reclaim here before expecting any meaningful downside rotation.
Okay. If it breaks that 29,545 level, would we expect a potential push?
If MNQ sustains a breakout above the 29,545 institutional resistance wall, the path of least resistance opens toward the 29,615 institutional max change level. I would only treat that as a valid continuation setup if price holds the breakout level on a retest, confirming that buyers have absorbed the overhead sell pressure.
That makes sense. From a probability standpoint, does it look like it's going to be breaking down from the 545 or that we're going to break through it?
The market is clearly compressing as it approaches the 29,545 resistance, and with institutional flow still showing negative bias despite the bullish price action, the probability of a clean breakout is lower than rejection. I would bet on a failed reclaim and subsequent rotation back toward 29420 unless we see a massive, high-volume surge that completely invalidates that overhead resistance.
Let's see. Buyers are trying to come in. They do keep getting slapped around that 545 level. We do got a gap fill all the way back here as well. It's at a spot now, it really has to have full expansion or it's going to break down. So let's watch. Right now it's still pressuring. Do you think this looks like they're pushing price up to trap longs and they're going to sweep them? I'm getting some Spidey sense vibes. Let's see what he says.
Your intuition is backed by the data. Price is grinding toward 29,545 institutional resistance while buy fraction is still solid, which is a classic setup for a liquidity sweep. If this push fails to break and hold 29,545 with expansion, the Spidey sense is likely right. Look for a rapid rejection back.
He said the Spidey sense.
420 pivot as the market purges those trapped longs.
He said your Spidey sense is likely right.
Looks like you're going for a double top.
Yeah, here's the thing, guys, is that level is going to be really key, right? And you can see that's right where we're rejecting. How it's treating this prior high and this Lisma is what I'm mostly watching. If this high cannot give us the expansion needed to hold that high as support, or if this Lisma breaks, any close below there is going to come down pretty violent. So the 1 minute's setting up we see how we have a little inverted hammer as well, but we need the close again below there. So, but the 5 minutes very bullish, right? So we're just waiting to see how it's going to handle that level. But for me, if I can get a breakthrough here with a close, right, I'll take some short scalps along the way. Anything short of that, you gotta be careful, right? Because it's setting up where it should expand through, but it's got to break that level he's talking about. So 584 would be our ORB high. So that's likely the liquidity it's trying to chase right now. Yeah, it's still struggling to hold that 45. gonna be a big level. Let's see. Yeah, micro's definitely supporting bullish though. So from our big indecision area. So there's our push. So that's the expansion, right, that I was waiting on. So now we got to see how it treats this upper area, right, 584. If we break through that 584 with any kind of, violence, right, this is that area of liquidity is all the way up here. So let's see how it reacts to this area. This is a pretty decent resistance zone. Man, the buyers really pushed through that, didn't they? 590.
Buyers absolutely jammed it through, and with buy fractions sitting at 80%, this push is looking legitimate rather than a trap. Price is now testing major institutional resistance at 29,614.90, so the next move is to see if they can hold this territory on a retest or if this is the point where profit-taking finally forces a pullback.
So, again, this is what I was talking about, right? So see how we held the 5-minute Lisma there? Once we broke that, the way it was looking, it looked like it needed that expansion. Now that it got the expansion, for us to retrace down to here makes sense. Anything that pumps through higher than down to this area, right? The 540, 550 is going to just shows crazy strength in the bulls. So, but this is a heavy rejection zone, so be careful taking longs unless you get some kind of pullback to support it. So here's the pull. So this pull matters a lot, guys, because again, how deep this goes tells us everything. So we can take some just micro structure as well, just to kind of see how it treats the trend. Let's see, I like asking this. Hey, if you were a market maker, where would you send this price to wreck the most retail?
If I were a market maker, I'd push this price straight through the 29,585.40 resistance wall to suck every retail long into a breakout trap. Then immediately flush it back below the 29,545 support to trigger their stop losses. Retail loves to chase the breakout right into institutional liquidity, making that area the perfect spot for a violent reversal.
Good to know. So I might want to look for that and trade like an institution instead of being the retail liquidity. What do you think?
Smart move. Thinking like an institution means waiting for the liquidity trap at 29,585.08 to confirm. Either through a rejection that proves the breakout is a fake out, or a clean hold that confirms true institutional intent. Don't be the liquidity. Let the market reveal its hand before you commit.
Isn't it funny, Radius, on that? I've been doing that with him lately where I'm like, if you're a market maker, what would you do? And it actually ends up working more times than not, right? Where it does it. Like, watch, I would be surprised if we don't push through and then all of a sudden just floor. If it dumps right now, I'm telling you, man, I'm gonna apply NEO to be a market maker. See how we respected that trend line? That's why I wanted to put that there. Buyers are coming in hard. See that sweep? Oop, getting a block too. All right, let's see, guys. It's struggling to break that wall. So any kind of close, now the way this structure is, right, similar to what we played earlier. You got the push, the side, the push, can't get expansion. If we get a close below here, we're going to get expansion to the south. All right. They really look like they're holding that 29,600 range. Yeah, I see that change too, Radius.
585 support wall, and if it fails to clear the 29,615 institutional resistance, that holding you see is just a liquidity buildup before the next move. Don't mistake sideways consolidation for a solid base. Wait for a confirmed breakout or a breakdown of the 29,585 wall before you commit to either direction.
Those two highs are exactly the same at 602.50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know how it works with the structure, Steven. So a lot of times what's going to happen, you're going to push, like we talked about earlier. We pull, try. If it doesn't get the break of the high for expansion, usually it breaks down, creates a localized lower low. Doesn't have to be a lower low than here, right? It's going to come back. Try to find some kind of support possibly here. If it breaks here, it's just going to absolutely drop. Now, in all fairness, look, you guys, give Neo some credit. He said right there, if I was a market maker, I'd push it through, trap some longs, and then dump it and wreck all of them back to 545. And it did it exactly. Come on, isn't that cool, Radius? I know you've been watching him closely, and I know you know how to trade, so that's awesome that you just did that.
I think the fact that they put it right on the money, 602.50, almost like a slap in the face and put it up in the dip.
Yeah, I could take a look at Apple for you. Hold on. Let's see. So guys, what I'm gonna do is when you have a question about something in TikTok, because mostly I think we're mostly done. I'm gonna paste it in here, and then I'll put your name. And I don't have it on it uncensored, so you probably won't get beat up.
Apple is currently fighting the 312.50 institutional resistance wall with negative institutional flow and sell pressure at 60%, making a 322 target a reach that requires a massive structural reclaim. Unless price decisively breaks and holds above the 312.50 level to initiate expansion, you're mostly just hoping for a miracle against the immediate bearish flow.
There you go. Again, guys, on TikTok, if you want to ask Neo any questions, let me know, and I'll forward it on. But yeah, sellers are coming in, guys, so be careful trying to chase this bottom. Yep, any follow-up questions, let me know. Oh, you've been long since Friday? Nice. Yeah, I was talking about this in my mentor group that I expected a good push, to kind of come back up to around 500 to 700 because of we just need a little balance of the equity, right? And but the thing is, what's tricky is if we don't get above like that 770-ish range, we're still very bearish. So, right, we could get these big pushes, but if we don't get above a certain range, we still bearish. So we're getting a decent little bounce off of Lisma here. Let's see how well that decides to expand. Got a little trap play there. The buyers seem to be stepping in at the 5-minute Lisma. Does this look like it might break through that upper 600 resistance this time?
The buyers are holding support at the 312.50 gamma wall, but with buy fraction at 61% and
Oh, I'm on Apple still.
showing negative bias. You're looking at a high compression setup rather than a guaranteed breakout. A breakout above 315.00 would be the required confirmation for a sustained move. Until then, treat this as a range-bound test where the resistance remains firmly in control.
Sounds good. What do you think about MNQ?
MNQ is currently fighting for direction, trading right at the 29,585.54 institutional support wall while institutional flow signals sell pressure. I would stay out of any fresh entries until price either claims the 29,615 resistance with volume or decisively breaks and holds below the 29,585 support. As right now, you're just paying for the spread in a high compression environment.
Yeah. You see that trap box play? Played out again. That thing is so good. I love that thing on the 15-second too. It's not 100% right, but plays out more than a dump. Guys, so we have a classic push, pull, couldn't create the high, deeper low. Remember I was telling you it's usually a localized low, not always an actual deeper low. So this came down. We ended up holding the 5-minute Lisma. We held the prior high, and that's why we're getting deeper push to expansion. So yeah, we can ask them. Let's see. Now that we're pushing pretty good, what's the next level of resistance?
The primary institutional resistance wall is now situated at 29,745.40, which serves as your next logical target or reaction zone. Monitor price action closely as it approaches this level. If you see institutional flow flip bearish or buyer absorption fade, that's where I'd look for an exhaustion point rather than assuming a free ride higher.
Yeah, 745 seems to be where he sees next resistance. Let's see. Buyers are coming in hot. So for any kind of retracement on our halfway pull, right back to this box here, we want to see some kind of absorption. So see the absorption we have? A close below that, right, will give us our expansion. Now, whether it gets past this line or not, it matters. If we get below 602, right, then it's going to come all the way back down in a reclaim. But if we bounce at 600, then we're going up higher. Yeah, this one here. So all my charts are the same pretty much. This is the 15-second, this is a 1 minute, and this is a 5 minute. That's the only difference. So the 5 minute, I just kind of watch for macro movement. The 1 minute, I'm kind of watching to see what it supports. The 15-second one here, right, is for if you're doing scalps and such, right? Let's see how high this wants to go. This is a big candle, guys, because we have an absorption in the south and a close below. A push up that stays below 635 will likely pressure more south. If we expand through this and close above there, it's going to just be a nasty push north. So let's see. Looks like we're stalling out here. Do you see any potential short scalp entries?
With price compressing right at the 29,615.40 institutional wall, a short scalp is only viable if price fails to reclaim this level and confirms seller absorption. Chasing here is a trap. I'd wait for a breakdown and retest of the 29,585 support zone before targeting the 29,545 level, as the current 85% buy fraction makes shorting a higher risk counter trend move.
Yeah, as we approach 11, it likes to do that little rebalance. That's what I'm watching too, because usually, a lot of times, now that we're back into some normalcy of our market conditions, it likes to do these kind of pushes, and then around that kind of 11 a.m. to 11:30 or so, we get like crazy reversals. So this is a big one I'm watching, guys, because we have a clean double top with an absorption to the south, right? This is our prior high. If it loses that prior high, it's going to come all the way back, probably even for a deeper low. If we bounce and bounce and bounce and we stay above 598 or worst case 584, right, for the push halfway, 50%, that'll tell us a lot. So any kind of jump here that puts us through this double top tells us a lot on the micro, right? It tells us the bulls are stronger than they're letting on. I'm starting to see a double top with an absorption candle to the south on the 15-second. Does it look like it might have enough strength to play out, or are they going to invalidate this?
That 15-second double top and absorption candle might look tempting, but with buy fraction still at 33% and price holding above the 29,615 institutional support, you are betting against the prevailing momentum. I wouldn't count on that breakdown until price decisively loses the 29,615 level, as this entire move looks more like a liquidity sweep to shake out weak shorts before another push north.
Interesting. He has a little shift there in his bias. Interesting. And that's what things you can ask him, right? See how we had a deep, clean micro setup of a bearish structure, but we could not break these highs. So you get the inverse, right? And that's where we're seeing that push right now.